G'day. This is another video in relation to the sovereign citizens and who they really are. This is the Commonwealth Constitution Act 1900 UK. It is an enabling act which enables us to have a constitution. We have one based on this. It has 9 clauses. No amount of lies, misguided concepts and everything else will take away the authority of this document. We are, and have been since Federation, a self-governing colony of England. We went from 6 colonies to 6 states under the authority granted by the Constitution Act. On the 29th of October 1900, Queen Victoria put in place every state's constitution. This is the state constitution for Western Australia. It stands, it's lawful, it cannot be changed because it was made letters patent. You cannot touch a letters patent without sending it to the reigning monarch to get her to sign off on whatever you want to change on it or alter. But our constitution says it is beyond the legislative authority of any colony of England to interfere with any imperial act. So you really don't have that right. This is the constitution put in place by Western Australia at Federation. It was there with 32 sections missing. That was a fraud on the people. On the proclamation of the Constitution, under the provisions of Clause 7, the Australasian Council and the colonies ceased to exist. If you read section 51, subsection 38 of the Constitution and read it in the interpretation by the people who wrote it, the only interpretation that's lawful, you'll find out the Parliament has been misled, lied to, the police have been misled and lied to, they've been ordered to do things which are totally unlawful, and now they are sovereign citizens. They are sovereign to the political parties, and they are citizens of the one world system which they're trying to implement, whether they are Fabians, Freemasons, or whatever their religious beliefs are which drag them into the situation, mainly Freemasons and Fabians. It does not allow them to do the things they did. The Commissioner, decided that we were sovereign citizens. And Mr. Whitby decided that he is the Minister for Police. No, you're not. You sit outside the provisions of the Constitution, so you do not exist. And I'll come to the rest of that, because if you are saying you are and try to push the issue, you're a liar and a fraud. Understand, we have a state constitution which is lawful, which is this one, not this one. If you can't comprehend that, you see 107, 108 and 109 of the Commonwealth Constitution establishes a state. And the state establishes it, and it draws its authority referentially from that constitution. Fact. You can't change that. And no one's even attempted, except by using the original fraudulent constitution for the state of Western Australia. So, the Commissioner of Police has done several interviews with the newspapers to promote what they're doing, which is 100% incorrect and wrong. You are saying they need to go to a tribunal. I'm saying the law says if you are going to seize the firearms, go for it, do it. I'm not saying that is wrong. I'm saying then you must put the issue before a court, not a tribunal that's not recognised in law, in the judicial system. You can say I'm wrong, and I'll tell you you're telling lies. I'm telling the truth. I've only ever put to the courts the Constitution and laws made pursuant to it. The only authority for these laws. And you know, or should know, that the laws you are implementing are wrong. You don't get to summarily deal with people or convict them of an offence when it's not proven in law. If you are lawful in what you're doing, you need a warrant to seize those guns. The same one that you used to seize mine without authority. Then you decide I had to go to your tribunal. And if I didn't go to your tribunal, you were going to destroy my guns, which is what you're going to pull now. The same lies and fraud. You, not us, no tribunal, that's rubbish. That's not a court. A court is a gathering under the sovereign. There is no sovereign in this state. You know it. Don't say you don't. Because the oath you swore to get in the police force was not a lawful oath. So you are not lawfully a police officer. And Whitby, you are not lawfully a member of Parliament. Your little friend decided to put the issue to the High Court that the states existed before Federation and they had the right to do all these things. And the High Court said no, they didn't. The states are created under 107, 108 and 109 of the Constitution, draw their authority referentially from that Constitution. 106 allows the state constitutions to continue subject to this Constitution. All that is fact. Now, what you would have us believe that we are disobeying, or people are disobeying, the laws of the state. They don't have one lawful law in this state until this is put in place and complied with. Instead of this piece of rubbish, then we don't have any lawful laws. So you're operating outside the laws of the Commonwealth, being the Constitution. The states are not sovereign and supreme. The High Court ruled that too. The Constitution states that. No, doesn't matter what you think. The law says. You talk about law, I'm telling you what the law says. I was a cop, and you probably know that. And I don't go out insulting you for no good reason. I'm telling you what you're saying is wrong. You need to abide by the law. What you're telling us to do, you need to do. What you're telling what you call sovereign citizens, which are not. You are the sovereign citizens, because 99% of the police who get above sergeant are Freemasons, or Fabians, or both. You owe your allegiance to the people you serve. You do not have any allegiance to the people you should be serving, which is us. You can say what you like you brought up 3 cases where people were shot. What about the one in Perth where the neighbour was shot by an idiot? You knew about it and the police did nothing about it. Nothing. What about the fact that without a court order, the council seized my property and took it and sold it prior to going to court? And when I reported it, what did they get? A barrage of lies. And when I referred to those lies on Facebook, and they were lies, and I revealed a person who I spoke to, which was a sergeant in Geraldton, you got over 200 death threats. Why? Because people have had enough of your nonsense. You refer to deaths. What about the death of that woman who had a bread and butter knife? Why didn't he use his baton or his taser? Why did he pull a gun and shoot her and kill her? You talk about so-called sovereign citizens doing things wrong. What about Dirty Dan in Victoria? The filthy, lying maggot of a traitor who ordered, well, what they call police, whoever they were, to fire on the public. Fire on the public. They were running away. Why would you fight them? What gutless, spineless maggot would do that to the people? Did you include that in? Oh no, there were 6 deaths. One in Tasmania. Have you looked into that case? It's not what they are trying to make out. I've actually got a person who lives just down the road and has told me exactly what is going on, and I can't reveal, and I'm not going to because it's an ongoing investigation. And Desi Freeman, that's an absolute load of nonsense. You even talk about Tasmania. Martin Bryant was declared by the Supreme Court of Tasmania to be incapable of representing himself, meaning under the law, the common law, he could not plead anything. His plea had to be not guilty. He had to have a correct trial. Why didn't he get it? I didn't say he didn't do it. I didn't say he wasn't involved. That is not the point. The point is he was not dealt with according to law. He was railroaded and slammed in jail for an allegation. An allegation doesn't mean he did it. So many times people have been found not to have done it, or not done this, not done that, because it's all a fraud. Again, I'm not saying he didn't kill those people, but I'm certainly not saying he did, because he wasn't lawfully convicted. He was mentally incapable of making any decision, and no one else, not even his lawyer, could enter a plea of guilty. It had to be proven beyond any doubt. So stop telling lies, you people. Stop referring to things which are not involved. And in relation to the Queensland case, let's look at Queensland. 1922, it removed its upper house. It's never had a lawful parliament. So those so-called police officers that went to that property where their two young cops got shot, that's a tragedy. Who shot them? What was the purpose of what took place there? Has it been investigated from outside? No. How come you look at that case and Queensland established a Brigalow Corporation a long, long time ago. Then when they dissolved that, they went to the corporation. They are still not lawful. They are still not operating under their lawful state constitution. You can't even talk there, and they send people around. Oh, you said this about the government. What's your reason for doing that? We've seen what they takes place. What are they so worried about what people are talking about? Because the truth might come out when you are serving your foreign masters. Julia Gillard signed up to the United Nations. Julia Bishop signed up to the United Nations, paid millions of dollars, and we got no say. You sent your sovereign citizens, being Albanese and Penny Wong, and they signed all these agreements without coming to us. Did they abide by the law? No. Are they abiding by the law? No, they aren't. You were too busy saying, oh, these poor people, they might get a gun, they might shoot somebody. Oh, not everybody. Oh, how do we know you police don't do it? Because you actually do. How many times have you shot somebody when you shouldn't have? When it could have been dealt with a different way? And a perfect example is the young lady here. Oh, she was a real doozy. She had problems. Lots of them. And if you look around, just walk around, you find out what her problems were. And I'm not going to go into that because you can't talk about that in their system. And I don't want to. But she had a bread and butter knife. You're trained with a baton, and I know its ability to take that knife out, and their arms, and their kneecaps. Why wasn't it done? Why weren't the people that were there, why didn't they stop her? Why didn't they? He's scared for his life. He shouldn't have been there. How come he hasn't undergone a mental assessment and been kicked out of the police force for making the wrong decision, ended up in somebody losing their life? Now, getting back to you, Reese Whitby, you are not the minister, because the 1996 HCA 44 of 1996, when McGuinty put the issues to the High Court, you would have found out, or should have been fully aware, that the state parliament is operating unlawfully, has been since Federation. If you can't figure it, give me a ring. I've got the documents. I'll send them to you. The correct state constitution. You never followed it. 2003, the Labor Party put together the Acts Amendment Repeals Court and Legal Practice Act, made lawyers who don't swear the lawful oath officers of the court under Section 5. Treason. Under the provisions of Section 8, removed all reference to the Crown in the state laws. Treason. They created a new entity unknown to the Constitution known as the state. Treason. You are employed by the state. And look at the half-wit that took over running the state, being Mark McGowan. He is so intelligent that he was translating English into English so that poor Aboriginal lady was trying to speak it. It didn't need translating. If you talk to the lady, you know she speaks very clearly. She puts in a few words that come out of her language, so what? She can be clearly understood. Made a mockery of that idiot all over the world for translating English into English. And now we have his second in charge, Dodgy Roger, lying, cheating and stealing. And both of you fleas told me that if the law says you owe money, you owe it. Doesn't matter what the court says. So what is the point, Colin Blanche, what is the point of the so-called laws in this state when you haven't done anything wrong? You prove it in court and they steal your land and sell it. But they go further than that. The amount they put before the court, including interest, court costs and everything else, was $148,000 against the $300,000 they sold my land for, which was not even a 16th of what it was worth. You're just liars and frauds. Instead of giving myself $152,000, which was left over, the council decided, and their lawyers, that they'll charge me $152,000 extra interest, even on top of all the interest they'd already put to the court, which was proved to be invalid. They had no claim. There was no case. All based on the fact that the United Nations and the Labor Party and all the political parties want to suck to the one world system, which means they are sovereign to that system, and they follow their will. They are citizens of there, so you are sovereign citizens of the United Nations. Filthy, lying, stinking traitors. That's all you are. Sovereign citizens to a foreign entity. You are giving away everything. You tell the native people of this country, I only refer them to native because I don't like the word Aboriginal, non-original. They're native, I was born here, I'm native, I'm indigenous, I was born here, the dictionary says so, and that's the only language being used at this time. The First Nation is, and was, and will be, the Commonwealth of Australia. The first registered nation. Someone's put up an intricate map mapping out all the lands belonging to the sovereign tribes. Hogwash. You had nothing to put it on. So you're saying that you could walk around and you know that this area was this area was that, and belonged to them. Lies, more fraud for the Aboriginal machine, which is not the Aboriginal people. It is not. It's a lie. You give them a grant in land, you take it off them. You put it in corporations where they can't touch it, where the corporations deal with it, where the corporations get large sums of money every year. Why don't they just give them $1 million each every year? $1 million each. You've got 20 people in a community, that's $20 million. Still inside the amount of money that is given. Why do you give it to corporations? Because you want control. So you can put it in the corporation, so when you crash the Commonwealth, which is what you're aiming to do, you'll take all the land, they'll end up with nothing. Some of them are starting to see it. They're starting to see the criminal actions of you morons and the criminal actions of their own so-called people. You know, you can sit and you can put all this nonsense out. We've got a bit of paper here. Dr. Victor Coe to Paul Smith. His question was in relation to local government. He said it existed before federation. Yes, it was the state parliament. After federation, it was a state parliament. Where's the authority to create that state parliament? It's on page 936 of the Commonwealth Constitution, the annotated one. It's the authority granted to a state to set up municipal authorities after federation. Local government, state parliament. We've only got two tiers of government, federal and state. The creation of a third tier is to take possession of your land. Fee versus the Northern Territory, the definition of fee simple alienates your land from the Crown being the only authority to tax your land. If it's alienated from it, how did they do it? Does the Crown still own it? No, it doesn't. It owns the minerals and holds them. How? The Crown holds it in right of the people, not right of a parliament that is not a government. They're not a government, they're a parliament. How is the parliament established? By the will of the people, by an election in each state. Each person or candidate selected, one for the upper house, one for the lower house, in accordance and compliance with the Commonwealth Constitution, which allows it to continue. Not what you want. There is a letters patent and an Imperial Act which puts the elections in place for each state. I put it forward before to show people because that is correct. It is the law. So when you come out cold blanche and you say all these people put forth pseudo-legal, every single thing that is in before the people in relation to law produced by political parties is legal mumbo-jumbo. It's not even pseudo. It's absolute dribble and lies. You're operating on it. Justice Jenkins in the Supreme Court ruled there is no such lawful entity as WA Police as established with the 1893 Act. Why? Because Clause 7 of the Constitution wipes it out. When it takes out the Australasian Council and the colonies, it took out all those acts. How do we know? The Commonwealth Constitution, according to the interpretation by the people who wrote it, says so. It also says the supreme, absolute, uncontrollable authority remains with the people. And you want to decide, oh, you're not a suitable person because you belong to a group of people who don't agree with the lies being told by political parties. And we have every right. We have every right to disagree with every law because we are sovereign, supreme, and we have absolute authority. You are our servants. I know you don't like that because you don't like being subservient. You can be a Freemason, but you still must be subservient to the people. You can be a Fabian, but you still must be subservient to the people. Like it or lump it. That is the law. Anything else is a lie. Trolls come on, they say, oh no, a free man is a delusion. No, the delusion is in the head of the idiot who wrote it, who refuses to debate it and look at the actual law because he hasn't got a clue. He'd rather sit back, lie and say, I'm correct and everyone else is a lie. No, you're a liar. Every politician that walks in and sits in our parliament are sitting there as sovereign citizens. They're serving their political party, trying to change everything in this country and give it and make us all citizens of the United Nations. Otherwise, it's an oxymoron, the word, but you still use it. Now, let's get down to how the situation is established. The writs issued by the Governor-General for an election, a federal election, are given to the governors of the states. They put out feelers, get documents which say particular people want to be candidates. He puts them in a pool. We vote for one person once for the Senate, one person once for the House of Representatives. Section 8 says one person once for the Senate. Section 30 says one person once for the House of Representatives. The problem we have is continued lying compliance by people who swear to serve the people of this country and fail to take the oath which puts that in place. Cole Blanche, you would know, with the Oaths, Affidavits and Statutory Declarations Act 2005, McGowan and his motley mate, Dodgy Roger, decided they had the authority to remove the schedule from the state constitution. Which one did they remove it from? This one. Which one did they remove all the laws of reference to the Crown? This one. Which one did they add local government in 1979 without getting permission from the people? This one. The Act is number 88 of 1979. That is not a civil matter. That is a treasonous matter, a job for you, Cole Blanche. Now you know, if you do nothing, you're a traitor. What says so? Commonwealth Criminal Code? On my say-so, no. This is a lawful state constitution. This does not have local government in it. Nothing in there to do with local government. This is the correct one. Look at the Royal Identifier on the top. Understand what I'm talking about, or comprehend, either way you like it. This has nothing because it is nothing. It is a fraudulent act. You added local government to this with an Act of Parliament. So did every state in Australia added local government to their unlawful state constitutions, because by 1975 there were no lawful state constitutions in place. Comprehend that. Comprehend that police have to be officers of the Crown employed under imperial law, not under a state police act, because it doesn't exist in law. The Transfer of Land Act does not exist in law. It doesn't exist in law. You want to keep a record of the transactions between people in relation to land. All it needs from the person who does the settlement to notify the records that is transferred for Joe Blow to Joe Bloggs or whoever. It does not need a government department to hold our titles, which is the only authority for us to have the land and own it. We pay for it and don't get it. That's the fact of the matter. We purchased the land off the Crown. Who owned it before us? As of 1605, it was claimed as a great south land of the Holy Spirit. You're going to debate that and say that didn't happen, because it did. Where do you think Torres came from for Torres Strait? The lieutenant off that ship that claimed it. It was claimed before that by the Dutch as Van Diemen's Land. It was claimed by the French, a large section of Western Australia was. And so was Australia. The Pygmies have lived here, or the Negrito people. Pygmy seems a little informal. The Negrito people lived there way before the current originals, according to you people. They're not the originals. The Egyptians were the first people here. You pick up on Ernie Dingo when he says, "Oh, welcome to country," the smoke ceremony. You didn't bother to pick up on the fact that he stated you can't go into that cave. They were from the people that were here before us, and he is Aboriginal. So what you've done is you covered it all up. You do not like us revealing that, so you call us sovereign citizen when you in fact are sovereign citizens. Your allegiance is to, if you're a Freemason, to them, Fabian, to them, Labor, Liberal, National, Greens and all the rest, to them, but never to the people. and your object of your whole existence is to put us into a one world system of government where we own nothing, we're abundantly happy living like caged animals, and you get to knock off as many as you want, so there's very few or very little people down as low as 500 million. And you think that's correct? You think you have the right? Why don't we just get rid of the garbage? That gets rid of all the lowlifes. And your emissions, 0.04 of 1% is what everybody in the world on average produces. We need 128 parts per million, or 182 parts per million rather, of carbon dioxide so our trees and plants will grow. What are you trying to do, kill the planet? Probably. You are so sick and bent and twisted to gain power, to give everything we own to a group of idiots who do not need anything. They have way too much now. They have no power or authority. Without authority there is no power. And if it's not granted authority by our Constitution, it doesn't exist. So take what I said, Cole Blanche, read the Constitution. Go to Chapter 3, Section 76, page 795, the fourth paragraph. You're exercising authority in the Commonwealth of Australia. You show in the Constitution where your authority comes from. You have an obligation to the people. If challenged in court, you must show where it comes from, and you can't, because it comes from imperial law, which you and all these idiots sitting in the Parliament say no longer exists. You've decided, oh, look at that, we're an independent sovereign nation. No, we're not. Clause 8 of the Constitution says we are a self-governing colony of England. Nothing more, nothing less. You're lying, you people. Anne Toomey is responsible. She's one of the worst sovereign citizens ever put anywhere. She's a lawyer. Her oath is to the bar. She's never rescinded it. And the bar is a foreign system through the City of London. Nothing to do with the reigning monarch. Oh, people say, oh, she bows to the... Oh, I don't care what she does. She's sworn in lawfully. And the Crown of England is in the lineage from way back in Bible times, whether you like it or not. You prove it isn't. You can't. Now, I'm going to leave you with that. You think about it. The sovereign citizens are the idiots exercising power. And if you think that the people have to be shot at by raving lunatics in Victoria, and now you believe what comes out of the Victorian police or Parliament, you have to be insane. To turn guns on the people of this nation who are sovereign and supreme and have absolute power is an act of treason. And it's an act of murder if anybody had died. It is an act of murder. Putting out an unlawful experimental vaccine, according to the Minister for Health. World's greatest experimental vaccine. An experimental vaccine tried on the people with or without their consent by you trying to con them, Kate Gallagher, is an act of terrorism. Commonwealth Criminal Code. Look it up. You people are so fraudulent and so big a liars, you need the people to pull you into line. You can call us sovereign citizens if you like, but you are. We're not. We are sovereign and supreme in this country and hold absolute authority. Guess what? We're taking it back, and you're not going to have it, and you will do what you're told, or you'll suffer the consequences. Under the Treason Felony Act, you should read it. Halsey's Laws of England, Volume 2. You will stand trial for what you're doing. You think you're so smart. You are just raving clowns, the lot of yous. I had a lot of time for you, Cole Branch. I know don't now, because you're manipulating the system. Every single person you took their firearms off, you put them before a court and put the charge, which is a given reason for you taking the guns, or give them back. Give them back, because you had no right to touch them. Go read the proper law. 1688 Bill of Rights, Habeas Corpus, Act of Settlement, King James Bible and Magna Carta, which is a great charter. It is not a statute. And Toomey, you were talking nonsense when you said that in one of your videos. And I'm going to keep getting in your face because you are teaching pseudo-legal nonsense by the political parties. And you're one of the biggest, look at that, sovereign citizens. You are. And one day you will stand trial for your treason. So have a nice day.